Good afternoon. I want to call to order today's meeting of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Madam Secretary, please note that we do have a quorum. Please mark Senator Krasner and Senator Cannizzaro present when they arrive. I am going to skip over the housekeeping rules that we go over, and I'm going to go straight to our work session. Director Anthony.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw. The first bill on work session today is AB 192, and its second reprint was heard in this committee yesterday. AB 192 requires the Secretary of State to enter in the statewide contracts for the purchase of all ballots and return envelopes used in certain elections, which must be uniform throughout the state. There's also a general fund appropriation in the Office of the Secretary of State in the bill as well. There were no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And before we proceed, we're going to be at ease for just a second. Thank you, Director Anthony. And there is a proposed conceptual amendment. And Vice Chair Daley, I wonder if you could go over what will be in that proposed conceptual. And this is a truly conceptual that we've been working on very recently, so we don't have it in hard copy form. Senator Daley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I would move to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 192 with the following conceptual amendment, that we would change shall to may. In Section 1, we would add the words in that the state may enter into one or more contracts for all ballots statewide. And then we have to put in a provision that counties can opt in with the may language for this first year for the presidential election. They have to do that within 6 months. And then after that, it would be 8 months once they're in. For a cycle, then the state would have that obligation, and they would be under contract, and counties obligated for that entire election cycle. That hit everything, Minority Leader?
I believe so. Senator Sievers-Gansert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change to a may versus a shall in Section 1. we're going to require, if a county wants to opt out, it's going to be for this year, it's 6 months, but 8 months thereafter for this election cycle. And that it's going to be for an entire election cycle. So if there's a primary and a general in that year, or I guess it pretty much be that. And then one or more vendors. And so I've got one other question. So those, I don't remember, I would have to look at the language. If that language was pertaining to statewide, so what happens right now is each county and some of the municipalities have different elections. So is this for, I'm just thinking they're not all statewide, right? We've got we've got statewide ballot measures and people who run for office, and then we have municipalities, and then things change all the way down to like the cities and municipalities. So I don't remember. I have to go back and look at the
I
language.
believe, if I can, Mr. Chair, I believe we're talking about the statewide elections and the elections that are basically set up for the June primary, November general. The municipal elections that may be on off years and various things are not statewide and would not be covered by this. It's my understanding. So these would be when each county is going to be putting out ballots for Assembly, Senate. If their local officers are on the same cycle, they would be on the ballot, but that's a different function. And then, of course, your constitutional officers once every 4 years, and then the presidential primary once every 4 years as well. So those are the elections we're talking about.
Thank you. You know what, I'm looking at the language, and it talks about in all presidential preference primary elections, and general elections held in the state. To be honest with you, that language is a little ambiguous. It should, if we're talking really about just presidential elections, right? So,
No, they're talking about not just the presidential elections, but all of the normal every 2-year election cycles. I don't think it covers, or is intended to cover municipal elections that are in the off-year cycle.
And I agree. I think that this applies to elections that are statewide, whether they're presidential preference primary or statewide elections for the constitutional offices. So that's why I say not municipal elections or anything like that.
right, and I'm just thinking about when we have a statewide ballot, so let's just think about the upcoming election, 2024. You're going to be voting for presidential. You're not going to have constitutional officers this time. It just happens there's not constitutional offices. But then you're going to have city council people. You're going to have judges and justices. They all show up on the same ballots. There's a very nuanced. As you further you go down, the more specific they get.
If I can again, unless the Constitution is changed at the national level, you will have a statewide election every 2 years for all four House members. You will have one of those every 2 years.
Right. And I guess what I'm questioning is Gabe's not here, the complexity of having the Secretary of State go down on those ballots, because those ballots still will contain municipal issues. You don't get 2 ballots. You don't get a ballot for the statewide and then a different one for municipals. So anyway, it's a big commitment for the Secretary of State to pick up all the nuances of ballots that are more local, but on a ballot that would still be statewide in some respect.
Yes, and they're going to do county by county and ballot by ballot. So when you get a ballot in Eureka County, they may have their county commissioners, they may have a judge, they may have a clerk, whatever it might be, that's up in that cycle, and that they're going to coordinate with the county for that ballot. But you're going to have, if it's a constitutional officer's year, the constitutional officers. If it's not, you may have a U.S. senator, but you're
Right.
definitely going to have a House race. So they're going to do that ballot for the statewide election, and then all the local stuff, they're going to coordinate with them. And that's why you're doing it county by county, because they're going to tell you what their ballots are going to
Thank
be.
you. So I think it's good that we put a May there because the complexity of what those ballots are going to look like. Okay, thank you.
And I'm glad we have that made too, so there's some flexibility. Thank you, Minority Leader. Any other questions on the motion? If not, is there a second? Second, a motion to amend and do pass with the amendment Senator Daly verbalized to us, second by Senator Severs-Gansert. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Madam Secretary, it did pass with 3 aye votes, and Senator Krasner, Senator Canizaro are excused. Director Anthony.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw. The next bill on work session for today is Assembly Bill 239 in its first reprint. Was heard in this committee yesterday. It was brought forward by the Sunset Subcommittee of the Legislative Commission. The bill does several things. AB 239 creates the Merit Award Account in the State General Fund, provides appropriations of $3,000 for that program, requires the Advisory Council of Family Engagement to submit to appointing authorities a list of persons who are qualified for membership, authorizes additional duties and authority of the committee for testing for intoxication, requires the chair or commissioner of insurance to carry out certain duties of the appeals panel, revises provisions relating to the membership of the Medical Laboratory Advisory Committee, clarifies provisions relating to meetings of the Credit Union Advisory Council, and eliminates the requirement that the council members are entitled to receive a salary. Again, these recommendations came out of the Sunset Subcommittee, Mr. Chair. There were no amendments.
Thank you, Director. I would accept a do pass motion. A motion from Senator Severs-Gansert. Is there a second? Second from Vice Chair Daley. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Madam Secretary, please note that there are 3 aye votes. Senator Krasner and Senator Canizaro are excused. Director Anthony.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw. The next bill that the committee will be taking up on the work session is Assembly Bill 246 in its second reprint. AB 246 was brought forward by Assembly members Torres, Marzola, Watts, and Gonzalez et al. Was heard in this committee yesterday. AB 246 requires the Secretary of State, county clerks, and city clerks to ensure that voting materials, certain other elections information are posted on certain internet websites or made available to polling place in certain languages. Bill also requires the Secretary of State and authorizes a county clerk to establish a toll-free telephone number for language interpretation and translation assistance relating to an election. Finally, the bill does make appropriations throughout the biennium for certain expenses related to language access and the establishment of a toll-free telephone number. There were no amendments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Director Anthony. I would take a do pass motion on Assembly Bill 246.
Motion to do pass.
Motion from Vice Chair Daley. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to reserve my right, so I'm supportive of it, but I need to look at it one more time, so I think you'll have to.
I appreciate that. I'll second the motion.
Okay.
And appreciate you reserving your right but supporting it out of committee. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Madam Secretary, please note that there are 3 aye votes. Minority Leader Severs-Gansert reserving her right to change on the floor. Senator Krasner, Senator Canizaro are excused. Director Anthony.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw. The next bill on work session is Assembly Bill 376 in its second reprint. Was brought forward by the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs and heard in this committee on May 30th. AB 376 provides that an employee of the executive branch of state government is entitled to take 8 weeks of paid family leave over the course of a 12-month period for certain purposes. It makes various other changes relating to that leave, and that leave is entitled to receive 50% of his or her regular wages while on this paid family leave. Finally, the bill makes an appropriation of $18,000, $154 from the State General Fund to the Department of Administration for the cost of administering this program. There are no amendments to the measure.
And actually, I wonder if we can take a brief recess. Thank you. We are back to order, and I do see we've got our Deputy Treasurer here. If we have any questions, thank you for being here. I would accept a do pass motion on Assembly Bill 376. I have a motion from Senator Severs-Gansert, a second from Vice Chair Daley. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Madam Secretary, please note that there are 3 votes in affirmative, and Senator Krasner and Senator Canizaro are excused. Director Anthony.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw. The last bill on work session is Assembly Bill 399 and its first reprint. It was sponsored by Assemblyman Yeager. Assembly Bill 399 creates the Subcommittee on Education Accountability of the Interim Finance Committee and requires that committee to meet at certain intervals and make recommendations relating to accountability in public education to improve educational achievement and outcomes for pupils. There was discussion during the hearing regarding the number of meetings. The bill currently requires a meeting at least once every 6 months, and I believe Senator Severs-Gansert brought up a question on the timing of that. Staff did look into other options, whether it should be meet biannually or 2 meetings per year, and I think there's appetite for an amendment for 2 meetings per year to give the committee a little more flexibility. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Then I would accept an amended do pass motion with the amendment. Senator Severs-Gansert, do you mind articulating the, or so moved?
Thank you. I would make a motion to amend and do pass, changing the every 6 months language in the bill for the when they're supposed to meet to twice a year.
Twice a year. Thank you very much. I have a motion, amended do pass with the amendment Senator Severs-Gansert proposed. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any discussion on that motion?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Madam Secretary, please note that there are 3 ayes, and Senator Krasner, Senator Canizaro are excused. And I know everybody's got other committees to go to, so if you have to go, that's fine. I will send out emails about the floor statements. I'm going to take public comment, and then we'll close the work session. I'll go to public comment, then we're going to be in recess and probably come back a little later this afternoon. So we'll be at ease for just a sec. With that, we will take public comment here in Carson City. Anyone wishing to make public comment? Broadcasting on the phone lines. Anyone who wishes to make public comment. We are limiting it to 2 minutes per speaker.
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working, but there are no callers at this time.
Thank you. I appreciate members, your flexibility, and we are in recess.